Act has done is not only established the building safety regulator, but it's also established something called the principal accountable person. And that person has got to be clear about their address in the UK. And they've got to make sure that they're accessible, or somebody is accessible to be contacted in the UK. There is a requirement for every one of these high-rise buildings to have a building assurance assessment certificate. And that assessment certificate is issued by the building safety regulator. Now, as an aside, I don't want to focus on this too much because it's not really what this session's about. But as an aside, the building safety regulator has brought in some sweeping new changes as to how things are going to be done going forward. And a lot of that not only relates to existing buildings, legacy buildings, but it also relates to new builds. And what the building safety regulator has introduced are gateways. And gateway 1 is at the planning stage. In other words, they want you to make sure you have done certain things at planning stage before you get into any sort of detailed design. Then gateway 2 is building control approval. Now that's a critical one because they will not let you move from gateway 2 to gateway 3, which is the build process. They will not allow you to put a shovel in the ground until everything has been agreed at building control stage. Now, I don't know if you realize how significant that is because previously you could start building your high-rise building as soon as you've got planning permission, ahead of getting building control approval. Well, the building safety regulator will not allow that. So you just be aware that things have changed quite significantly. The other thing that's come into being, and now I'm talking about this is for all buildings that exist, is this whole issue of what we call golden thread documentation. I'm going to go into that in a little bit more detail on the next slide, but just be aware there's some significant changes, and these are all about what has come out of the Grenfell inquiry, what we've learned about that terrible disaster that happened at Grenfell. And then there's a whole sweeping new change around resident rights. Again, it's a lot to do with what we learned from the Grenfell disaster and people needing to be able to express their views and reach people who have the ability to make decisions. So residents' rights is a big deal. You'll see that as I go through the next few slides. Now, I apologize in advance that this is a very, very busy slide, and I think it's necessarily busy to show you sort of the sort of complexity involved in this. But I just want to get across to you some of what you're going to need to be able to do. And like I say, you don't have to do this by yourself, and certainly we can help you, but just be aware that as the principal accountable person, there's an awful lot of responsibility placed on you under this new bit of legislation. So everything that I've got in yellow is what I call the golden thread related aspects of your responsibilities. Everything in green is everything to do with engagement with residents. And that's a big deal in this new bit of legislation. Engagement with residents, you'll see that as we go through. You as a principal accountable person also have a number of duties. You've got, duty holder under the legislation. And so there's a whole load of contractor client information that you're going to need to be able to develop. That's all of the information that I've got in blue. And we can assist you by pulling a lot of this together. We can assist you in all of the strategies that you need to put together, etc., and then pull an important document which we call the safety case report together as well for you. So some of those golden thread documents that I was referring to, I think what the building safety regulator is really saying is that he or she would expect that every single building will have at least these documents if you really understand how your building's been put together. If you really understand issues around safety as far as fire is concerned, safety as far as the structural integrity of your building is concerned, you would have these sets of documents. So if you look at the bottom there, the fire door survey, this has become a major thing now as we come into the new era of this legislation. Fire risk assessments, you've already been doing those for your buildings over the years, so that's nothing new. But these whole issues around compartmentation surveys, structural assessments, all of these things, secure information boxes being put at the entrance of the building, all of these things are relatively new. The past 9980 assessment, or external wall surveys, they also have come into being. So just be aware of all of this. These are all your golden thread documents, and I haven't put them all on there because there's just too many, but I want to just give you a flavour of what is needed. When it comes to resident engagement, all the green stuff, I want you to be aware that the building safety regulator wants some genuine engagement with residents. They want to know whether you understand and are receiving feedback from your residents. They want to know if you're engaging with them over how you replace things, the life cycle of parts of the building that need changing over time. How are you engaging with them, even over things like that? And do you understand them? Do you understand? I don't know. Is English a first language of most of the residents at the building? All of these things, they will want to make sure that you understand, and you're going to need to provide evidence of this in your safety case report. Then there's this whole issue in the blue area. There's this whole issue about your duties and the need for you to make sure that you've got competent individuals that are assisting you in developing your safe building, making sure that there's the necessary training given to people. So just be aware of all of these things. I won't spend any more time on this particular slide, but just be aware this is about getting the right people at the right time and giving them the right information. And that's what this is about. And a whole lot of what you're going to be doing is about information gathering, making sure you've got the right information and we can get it to the right people at the right time. So let's just talk a little bit about this building safety case. It's something that the building safety regulator will want you to supply to him in order to get your certificate. It's a structured narrative. And I want you to be clear, this isn't just a narrative that says, yeah, my building's safe, and I've got a fire risk assessment and I've got a fire strategy, everything's tickety-boo. They're going to say, well, yeah, okay, but we need evidence. It has to be evidence-based. So you can't just make bland statements. You have got to evidence what is being said in that report. You've got to demonstrate safety, not just in terms of a specific application, like I don't know, the alarm in the corridor on floor 3, but a specific operating environment. Got to make sure that the whole system operates as it should. So when the alarm system that's in the corridor, not only does it open the vent in the corridor, but it also opens the vent at the top of the stair. It's making sure that the whole system works as it should. And then your safety case report, making sure that we're summarizing any major fires, and it's really important. You might say, well, I got that fire under control, so I don't need to report it, but you should be in that building safety case report summarize any fires, any structural hazards. You should make it clear that these are the cases. And I think what the building safety regulator is after here is your understanding. Do you really understand your building? Okay, and I hope you're developing a picture of what's going on.